Ready whenever you are, Candace. All right. Good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. this morning. In the true spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge all those who call this land home now and for thousands of years in the past. May we respect each other and find understanding together and recognize the benefits that this land provides to all of us. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No additions, please.
Okay, if not, Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll move the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Eric. Eric has moved for the adoption of the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes. Before you, you have the County Council meeting minutes from April 4th, 2024. Are there any errors, omissions, any issues arising from the minutes? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the adoption of the minutes of April 4th, 2024.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved for the adoption of the minutes of the County Council meeting, April 4th, 2024. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. We have one time commitment today. We have a delegation at 9:30. We have the Coaldale District Handwright Association joining us. So how about we move then down in our agendas to E, Department Reports, E1, Corporate Services, E1.1, the 2024 Business Tax Bylaw 24-008. Morning, Jen.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Council. So before you is the 2024 Business Tax Bylaw number 24-008. As per the Municipal Government Act, the Business Tax Bylaw must be passed annually prior to May 1st of each year. Once the business in which we can implement the bylaw itself has not changed from the 2023 year, with the exception, of course, of updating it for the 2024 year. The first bylaw was passed back in 2017 and has been passed on an annual basis since that time. And we do, within the annual budget proceedings, have business tax as a revenue source for paved roads, hardtop surfaces, and to help offset some debt related to some of the haul route work that was done back in 2017 to 2019. So as mentioned, we have to pass this bylaw annually prior to May 1st. And of course, prior to passing that bylaw, also within the Municipal Government Act, as mentioned, a budget must be passed. And following the passing of the actual bylaw itself, then we'll bring forward the rates, which are a separate bylaw and also must be passed annually. The bylaw itself speaks to the purpose of the business tax, what's involved and what's included. There is a amended copy attached for Council's review, and as you can see, really the only change was the year. The bylaw itself and the interpretations and procedures within it have remained the same. So administration is just looking for all three readings of the bylaw today.
Thank you, Jen. Any questions, comments from council? Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the recommendation that bylaw 24-008, being the 2024 Business Tax Bylaw, receive first reading.
Thank you, Eric. Eric has moved that bylaw 24-008, being the 2024 Business Tax Bylaw, be ready for a first time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks, Eric. Second reading. John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 24-008 be read a second time.
Thank you, John. John has moved that bylaw 24-008, the 2024 Business Tax Bylaw, be read for a second time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And to proceed to third reading. Claus.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move the recommendation that bylaw 24-008, being the 2024 Business Tax Bylaw, to go to the third reading.
Thank you, Claus. Claus has moved that bylaw 24-008 we proceed to third reading of bylaw 24-008, the business tax bylaw. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And third reading. Lauren.
I would move third reading of 2024 Business Tax Bylaw number 24-008 be read for a third time.
Thank you, Lauren. Lauren has moved that bylaw 24-008, the 2024 Business Tax Bylaw, be read for a third time. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Move down to item E 1.2, the 2024 Business Tax Rate Bylaw, 24-009.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So similarly to the business tax bylaw itself, the tax rate bylaw must be passed annually as per the Municipal Government Act following the passing of the business tax bylaw itself, which you have just completed. The business tax rate bylaw has been prepared for 2024. There's no significant changes within the content itself, aside from the dates and the applicable year. However, through the budget deliberations process, Council had some discussions around reviewing the tax rate itself for the animal units and whether or not to implement an increase to the rate due to inflationary cost increases related to materials and equipment that have taken place since the business tax was first implemented in 2017. So with that, there was an amendment to the budget, or pardon me, to the bylaw to increase the business tax rate by 2%, which would be a 5-cent increase, making it, or moving it from $2.50 per animal unit to $2.55 per animal unit. So that too has been included within this business tax rate bylaw. Aside from that, we cannot move forward with actually issuing the business tax levies without the passing of a business tax rate bylaw, obviously. Council, of course, has the opportunity to put the rate back to $2.50 or leave it, or make any decision they want with regards to the rate itself on the animal units. Administration just is bringing this forward as per previous discussions of Council. So with that, administration is looking to receive all three readings of this bylaw today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. As Jen suggested, there was some pretty robust discussion around increasing the animal unit rate 2%, that 5 cents, increasing the rate from $2.50 to $2.55. So I do want to acknowledge that. And I would open it up to Council for any discussion. John, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 24-009 be read a first time.
Thank you, John. John has moved first reading of bylaw 24-009, the 2024 Business Tax Rate Bylaw. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Second reading. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move that bylaw 24-009, being the 2024 Business Tax Rate Bylaw, be read a second time.
Thank you, Mark. Mark has moved second reading of bylaw 24-009, the 2024 Business Tax Rate Bylaw. Is there any discussion? Eric? Good? Okay. Any other comments, discussion? If not, call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And we will need a motion to proceed to third reading. Eric?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that bylaw 24-009 be considered being read for the third time. And also like to add to that that there was robust discussion on this. We went around for quite a while, and while it's definitely recognized to be controversial, this was not easily not an easy conclusion to come to, but definitely seen as important. And so with that, I'd like to move that recommendation.
Thank you, Eric. Well said. We have a motion from Eric to consider third reading of bylaw 24-009, the 2024 Business Tax Rate Bylaw. This does need to be unanimous to move to third reading. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That is carried. Third reading. Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move third reading of the business tax bylaw rate for Bill 24-009.
Thank you, Lauren. Lauren has moved third reading of bylaw 24-009, the 2024 business tax rate bylaw. Is there any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you.
Moving down in our agendas, E1.3, the Lethbridge County signing authorities. Jen?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So just due to some restructuring amongst the senior management team, administration is proposing that council amend the current signing authority resolution to align with the county's corporate changes. So the current resolution, which was passed in February of 2020, includes some management positions that don't align anymore with the new structure. So therefore, we are looking to just have a updated resolution made that we can submit to our banking institutions for updating. This can be done by resolution according to the Municipal Government Act, and with this, we will forward it to all of our banking institutes with the updates of who is eligible. As per the signing authorities, it is the Reeve and Deputy Reeve or Deputy Reeve, along with one of the senior managers that's listed in the recommended resolution, which includes, again, approval of the Reeve or appointed Deputy Reeve, along with the Chief Administrative Officer, Director Corporate Services, Director Infrastructure and Development to sign on behalf of the county banking accounts.
Thank you, Jen. Any comments, questions from council? John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one. This is, these are signatures that would require 2 signatures on each, right?
Councillor
check.
Kurbis, through the chair, yes, all of the checks or signing on behalf of the bank accounts require 2 signatures, one being the Reeve or Deputy Reeve, along with the administration.
Any other questions? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. I'd like to move that the council approve the Reeve or appointed Deputy Reeve, along with the Chief Administrative Officer, Director, Corporate Services, or Director, Infrastructure and Development to sign on behalf of the county banking accounts.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jen. Mark has moved the recommendation that County Council approve the Reeve or appointed Deputy Reeve, along with the Chief Administrative Officer, Director, Corporate Services, or Director, Infrastructure and Development to sign on behalf of the county banking accounts. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a question, how many checks would you sign in a year? This is still done electronically or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, Councillor Hickey, through the chair, that is correct. So all of the checks generally are electronic signature, but they do have they can't just be processed by the accounts payable clerk. So she would initiate the batch, and then it would go for what we call first approval, in which I would review the batch and electronically approve that, which would then move it into the actual signing portion, which creates the EFTs or the checks that need to be printed, and that requires 2 people to sign off on. So it would be myself, I believe the CAO is able to sign off if he needs to, and the Director of People and Culture currently, as well as our IT manager. That's how it's set up in the system right now. So none of those can be released without 2 additional approvals on those. I will say, though, that we have noticed a trend, especially since COVID, of moving to a lot more electronic payments. So checks that are being issued aren't as many as they used to be.
Physical checks is actually quite limited.
It has. We've seen a drastic reduction in physical checks going out.
Anything else on that? So Mark has moved that recommendation. If there's no further discussion, call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Jen. E2 Administration, E2.1, the 2024 Calgary Stampede PMO Farm Family Awards. Good morning, Cole.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Calgary Stampede BMO Farm Family Award presentation will take place on Monday, July 8th, as part of the Stampede Festivals. An invitation has come from the organizers for the county representation to attend the event. So historically, the counselor of the division in which the nominee resides is selected with a guest of their choice to join the nominee in the day's activities. 2 spots are available and no extra tickets will be granted through this invitation. This year's award winner representing Lethbridge County is the Buckman family, who live in Electoral Division 5. Therefore, it's our recommendation that County Council selects a counselor and guest of their choice to represent Lethbridge County at the 2024 BMO Farm Family Award presentation scheduled for July 8th, 2024. So it would be our recommendation, with it being Division 5, that would be Councillor Van Essen.
Thank you, Cole. Council, any discussion? All at once. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Mr. Chair. Would it be appropriate for us to possibly appoint an alternate just in case Councillor Van Essen wasn't able to attend, or?
I would turn that to council.
Well, that's who I'm asking.
If it would be based on Councillor Van Essen's availability, if he's unable to attend, then I think, we would just defer to council for who they feel would be best to represent Lethbridge County.
John, you attended last year, is that correct?
I did, yes.
Do you maybe want to just give your, thoughts on what it was to attend?
Oh, absolutely, yes. It is a very prestigious event. I think it is something that BMO does very, very well. You start the morning out with a good breakfast and an ability to sit and talk with other farm families. There's good presentations about the farm families and their awards. There's video presentations of that. And then you spend the afternoon attending the rodeo. So it is something that I found it wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the interaction with the winners, and I think that everybody that attended had a really, really good time, and it is a good event. So,
Awesome. Thank you, John. Eric?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I somehow was not prepared on this part. As FCM is right through that weekend, and I am committed to attending that. That's what I signed up for. I don't think it's prudent to be double booked through that, or with what we've put into the one or the other. I'd like to move either that an alternate or somebody who has an interest look at pursuing this and filling the spot.
Cole, did you have any?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Councillor Van Essen, we don't have a preference. I think it's a wonderful event. To Deputy Reeve Kerbis's comments, and we'd love to see one of the councillors represent Lethbridge County at the award ceremony and for the day's festivities. So whoever council feels is most appropriate. Administration doesn't have a preference.
Okay. Is there, I guess I would turn it to council then, is there anyone who is interested or willing to attend? I will say I'm actually out of the country that week, so I know I can't attend, but I would echo what Deputy Reeve Kerbis said. It is a really cool event to attend, a real celebration of some legacy families in Alberta, so it is a cool event to attend if you can. Lauren?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is it the Brian Buckman family?
Correct, I believe, right?
I believe so, but Candace verify.
Yeah.
I do know them, but if somebody else wants to go, I would think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I know
I've
that.
been a few times, so.
I know the Bachman family really well, and if it's possible, I would like to go there.
Okay. You're comfortable with that? You'd make that motion then, Eric?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that Councillor Zeenstra represent Lethbridge County at the 2024 BMO Farm Family Awards presentation scheduled for July 8, 2024.
Thank you, Eric. Eric's moved the recommendation. The County Council select Councillor Morris Eenstra and a guest of his choice to represent Lethbridge County at the 2024 BMO Farm Family Awards presentation scheduled for July 8th, 2024. Any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, Cole. Bill, is your group here? Is everyone you need here? Are you willing to start a few minutes early? Is that all right? Okay. We will move then to our delegation. We have a 9:30 a.m. delegation with the Coaldale and District Handyride Association. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning,
floor-
Reeve
the
and
floor is
council.
yours.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you for having our board here today with the Coaldale Handyride Association. I'd like to introduce to you and through you a couple of our board members. I'm Bill Chapman. I'm also the council representative for the town of Coaldale on the board. I'd like to have you meet Clayton Vargasy, who's also on the board, and Tim Weens, also on the board. So I want to thank you for having us today and maybe just give you a little bit of a brief update to you, Reeve, and council as to some of the history regarding the Handyride Association, where we came from and where we're at today. Back in the early 1980s, it was Dr. James Oshiro, who some of you may know of, who really pioneered this vision. And it was he that identified a need for a transport service for those needing assistance due to physical restrictions. In 1989, the Coaldale Community Hospital Association sponsored $20,000 to purchase a bus. Dr. Oshiro went on to serve on town council. He served also on the Palliser School Board, the University of Lethbridge Senate, and of course the Board of Governors, and later he became the first Canadian appointed Japanese chancellor to the university. The Handybus Association was formed and donations were collected from many individuals in the community, including the Japanese Canadian Red Dress Foundation, Knights of Columbus, FCSS, Rotary Clubs, Town of Coaldale, and a few others. The first board included Leonard Fast, John T. Clausen, George King, Doug Foxall, Len Schneider, Steve Slemko, whose brother just passed away, Helen Duick, Betty Hribar, and a few others. Its first drivers were George King, Bill Giesbrecht, and Nellie Slingerland. Over the next 23 years, the association owned a couple of units, and as they wore out, those were donated to the Los Amigos campaign coordinated by Carl Samuels of the Lethbridge Rotary Clubs. These units were repurposed to Mexico, and in 2013, the association purchased its current bus, which you see on the screen. As part of my report, I want to thank County Council for its previous financial support to the association, and it was a service that in 2017 had literally closed down. The board was tired, and so were its drivers. So in the meantime, I was successful in rallying new board members and new drivers for this vital service, and I want to thank Jerry Virginello, some of you remember, and Tracy Dow for hanging on and until replacements were found. Town Council in Coaldale jumped in and began to assist with the financial operations of this bus, because on its own, this service cannot continue. And passenger service would be compromised and affordable. And so today our board members consist of Terry Rusin, Clayton Vargasy, who's here, Rex Alcock, Jack Penner, Tim Jansen, Brad Calder, Benny Martins, Dave Olson, and Tim Weens. And I just might like to add that both Benny Martins and Tim Weens live out in the county and are farmers out there. So I think we're well represented regionally on our board via our members, Tim and Benny. So we meet monthly, strategizing on how to deliver quality and valued service to Coaldale. They continue to respond to growing needs for transportation to be effective, safe, and up-to-date in its operations. The association's drivers, Harley Packer, who's with us, are passionate and love to serve their passengers. Bookkeeper Lou Weens, who's Tim's wife, volunteers her time and energy and ensures that the association's financials are in order. Everett Dirksen from Ignite LLP is our auditor for the board. We continue to value this bus service in Coaldale, and in 2021, the board saw an opportunity to thank the town for its support and collaborated on a wrap that you might see on the back of our bus to help market our downtown and Main Street. And along with other charter activities, we've been fully open to service and being a part of the community. And in fact, in August 21st of 2021, the bus was used for the service, the firefighters who were attending the Captain Craig Wilson Memorial in Coaldale. Further to that, various seniors groups have chartered the bus for various functions and activities. And we've also used the bus for the Summerfest parade, and we also added to our annual fall community registration in Coaldale. The board had learned about a grant that the town felt would be beneficial to supplement the purchase of a new bus, and this grant of $183,000 was approved, and the board is going to be embarking on a strategy to identify an appropriate unit for its Coaldale services, as well as to transport service into the city. We're experiencing that the lift on this current bus is nearing end of life, and so that is the reason why we are embarking on trying to find an appropriate piece of equipment that really has the new technology and the new service mechanism for our communities. So, and of course, I think the big issue that we were finding is that many of our passengers' combined weights are a lot heavier than they used to be with the new chairs that they have out now. So the lift that we have on this bus now really doesn't facilitate the heavier weights. Also, we want to actively start servicing the new recreation facility in the northwest of Coaldale. So we feel as an association that this is a vital service that allows many residents in our community, both in Coaldale and in the region, to continue to live and age in place. And we feel that that's really the biggest part of the concept that we're wanting to achieve, is that people can live at home and enjoy life to their fullest. And so with that, we know that they'll become more dependent on public transportation as we can service them. So that concludes my part, and I'll let Clayton take on the rest of the presentation.
So some of this will be repeated a little bit, but we'll just get into some of the details. What's new and exciting? So as Bill mentioned, we're in the process of selecting a new bus. The Rural Transit Fund, that's federal funding, is committed to 80% of the purchase of a new bus, up to $183,000 in funding from them. So in the $220,000 range is kind of what we're looking at. We've narrowed our options down and plan to make a final selection by the end of May. Our current bus is nearing its end-of-life amortization. The bus is still in pretty good shape, but the lift is the big issue we have right now, being that we have some passengers that are really pushing the weight of that lift, and we've actually had to deny some passengers just because it's a safety concern at this point. They're up in the air, quite off the ground, and if anything were to happen, that would not be good. So this is one of the options we're looking at, a Ram ProMaster Frontrunner. There's the inside of it. This is another option we're considering, a P5 accessible van. So this one's more modular. There's tracks on the ground there that you can move seats around and configure it how you'd like. So continuing on with that, so we were successful in our expression of interest for the Healthy Aging Grant, so that's provincial funding. And that has the potential to inject up to $175,000. And that funding can be used for operational purposes. So that's one of the big issues we face right now is operational funding. It's not as difficult to find capital funding, but operational funding is quite difficult to come by. This funding would be in effect from August 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2026. Our intent, if successful, is to first hire a manager or a similar position. Currently, the board is fulfilling this role, and without a permanent employee to handle managerial duties, the sustainability of the services is uncertain. If successful, we also plan to potentially pilot a route system for Coaldale and the surrounding area with our current bus, as we'd have 2 buses at that point. So why are we here? In approximately 2012, Lethbridge County provided Coaldale District Handi Ride with funding of $12,000 for 1 year. I believe there was funding to go toward the purchase of a bus provided at that time as well. I don't know the dollar amount. I don't know.
I don't know the dollar, but
It was proposed.
Proposed, okay. So we'd like to reignite the relationship between Coaldale and District Handi Ride in Lethbridge County. We've been regularly servicing passengers in nearby areas of Lethbridge County, particularly right now the area between Highway 512 and Township Road 92 from Coaldale to Lethbridge. We'd like to continue servicing passengers in the nearby county with our on-demand service and plan to expand our service offering east of Coaldale to Barnwell in the future. So this is just a map of the area that we currently service. And then this is a map of the area that we would potentially service in the future, east of Coaldale. The red dotted line represents the county boundary. And our thought is to go all the way out to Barnwell, so that would be in MDF Tabor as well. So what is our ask? We're seeking $500 a month, $6,000 annually in funding from Lethbridge County. This would help supplement our ongoing operational costs and allow us to continue servicing passengers in the nearby areas of Lethbridge County. We're also seeking a letter of support for Coaldale District Handi Ride from Lethbridge County to augment our other funding and grant applications. Why do we need this support? So in 2023, Coaldale District Handi Ride had revenues of $17,382, a donation of $1,500, and funding of $42,000 from the town of Coaldale. Our total expenses and cost of sales were $62,145, which ultimately led to a deficiency of $1,263. With the intention of hiring a manager and trying to build Handi Ride the way that it should be long-term, likely part-time in the beginning with that position. We'll need additional financial support to ensure our service is sustainable. And we do have full financial statements and other supporting information that are available upon request. And that's it for the presentation. Any questions?
I open it up to council for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wondering, are you seeking any support from the MD of Tabor? And question number 2 is, when you do pick up somebody in the county, do you charge the same rate as if they were in Coaldale, or is it mileage based, or how does that work?
Answer that one, or Tim, you want to answer that?
yeah, as far as the county of Tabor or the municipality of Tabor, right now, we're not going that way. So that might be something in the future there. But the cost for the county, it's a $20 ride in plus $5, and then same thing on the way back out.
Yeah, we modified the rate slightly, but it's not much different than our Coaldale rate.
And if you're in town, it's $5 a ride one way. So basically, that $20 is the mileage to Lethbridge.
And it's similar if we have a passenger going from Coaldale to Lethbridge, they pay a higher rate for that. And yeah, with the MD of Tabor thing, not until we are actually servicing the MD of Tabor would we approach them. It just so happens that we've had people call us from the county that need assistance, and we don't want to turn down people if we can avoid that.
Actually, my question was answered with Lauren's question.
Okay. Eric, did you have one?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Would there be those in your clientele who have a need of accessible services to have funding paid that they're supported from the other end, and that you could essentially get some of your services paid for at a higher rate through your billing.
I think only the ones we do for AHS, right?
That's correct.
There we get a higher funding.
Okay, and are they on a different pay grid or fee structure?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. How rural are you looking at servicing? Like you gave the boundary of what you're currently doing. Let's say that hypothetically we say, yeah, we're all in, we'd like to fund this fairly. What is your current limitations, or what would you consider?
Our limitations right now would be Highway 512 and 92.
Okay.
You just can't handle more than that. You take a trip to Lethbridge, it's an hour, back it's an hour, so there's just not time with one bus to go further than that at this time. It would be more buses involved, and the need wouldn't be there to justify it, let's put it that way, at this time.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. And do you have roughly your percentage of riders that are county residents? Do you know vaguely what you're looking at?
It's very, very low. There'd be, for a while, we had a regular one for, I think, several years for a student to come out from the county into Rehoboth. That one went on quite a while. Now she moved to Lethbridge, so now we're still doing it from Lethbridge, but that's the city. So, and then we starting to pick up some from Eventide there to go to, what kind of service is that?
Somewhere in the city, I believe.
Yeah, a medical service on a regular basis, and there could be more of them coming from that. So percentage-wise, yes, it's low,
Okay.
but it could grow, and if we have that bus like that, it will grow. We're getting older. That's one reason I'm on there, so that sometime I might need that ride.
Planning, yeah.
Always thinking ahead.
Yeah, and our mentality is a little bit different, like $20 a ride to Lethbridge, that sounds exorbitant to some senior people. But you drive your car there and back, what does it cost? So we feel, and if we can start getting 2 and 3 and 4 people on that bus at a time, now we're making a decent, it's working, eh? But when there's just one, and that's usually what we have is one. So then it's harder to, but that one person needs that ride. And I'm under the firm impression that we make a difference one person at a time. So,
Perfect, thank you. One last question. How did you formulate the ask percentage-wise, or that you came up with that for the county?
Well, I'll answer that one. I don't think we wanted to ask for a lot. We wanted to start somewhere and build a relationship with the county. And to that's really important, because I think we're trying to, we used to get a number of calls from the county. And in years past, those relationships have been formed, and then those people have moved on, but or moved into town. So obviously their dynamics have changed, but in the meantime, we haven't really tried to market ourselves yet, because there's a bit of a cost to marketing, and we're just starting to get onto social media as well, utilizing that format to get our message out. And so I think it's just a matter of understanding what's out there and who would be available for service. Another part that we're really starting to work on is working with Palliser on transporting some of their students with various needs on our bus. So we're looking at all avenues to facilitate our community and ensure that we service it right. But I think in the meantime, again, our seniors are giving up their driver's licenses and are trying to find different ways to get to and from. And I think rightfully, every person has a right to transportation or to getting to wherever they have to go, to the mall or to their appointments or to church or wherever they need to be. And so we want to ensure that we have that service in place.
Thank you for tolerating all the questions.
Tim, just to go back to a comment you made, Eventide, is that?
I think that's the name of the place.
Is that the adjacent to the church then, just
Yes.
behind Corteva there? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Quick class.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question, I don't know if you're aware of it, but, because I know that Picture Butte's got a handy bus going around. Is that the similar system that you guys have, or you're not aware of this whole thing at all? Or do they go into the county to pick up people or not?
Yeah, I know a couple of the drivers from Picture Butte. Teresa Feist is counselor for the town of Picture Butte as well. And so she and her husband certainly kind of monitor their handy bus. Their program is fully volunteer. And so I think for them, it's more of a hit and miss. It's whenever they get a call, they'll start the bus up and transport their passengers. So they don't have like a really regular service. And what we're trying to achieve is a regular service. So right now, our bus is, according to our driver, is starting at 7:30 in the morning and operating sometimes quite a bit till 5 or 6, particularly with dialysis patients who need to have their appointments starting really early in the morning and then need to be picked up later in the day. So with us, we're trying to stay, obviously, as Tim Weens had mentioned, between that corridor rather than trying to spill out way too far into the county. And of course, we don't go north of the river. And so Picture Butte stays within their community area. Again, they're fully volunteer. We do pay our driver. And I think that right now it's, with the type of service we're trying to build and develop, is that we need to compensate our drivers appropriately.
One of the issues with those volunteer-based services too is that they're not as consistent, whereas we have a paid driver, so we can be consistent with our offering.
Any other questions, comments from council? Well, I thank you very much for coming in today. Thanks, Bill, Clayton, Tim. I appreciate your time. I think it's a vital service that you're providing. I think as we look forward and we see, what the demographics are telling us, we have an aging population. And I guess I'm going to show my cards a little bit here and tip my hand. I just think that as much as it's important that, you talk about trips to the county and out into the physical county, I do think that those people that are in your community now that were, the people that lived in the county and helped build the county and help build your community are the people that we want to be able to age in place. If it's Sunny South Lodge, the Piami, maybe just to a smaller house off the farm. I do think it is important for our overall community to let people age in place, and I think that this, sorry. Sorry. I think that the service you provide is it's important. So thank you. Yeah. It's just sorry, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a recommendation that Lethbridge County moves a letter of support on your grant applications and as requested, and direct administration to bring a report on how we can support the services of Handy Bus. What are you? Coaldale and District Handy Ride Association.
Thank you, Eric. So Eric has moved to draft a letter of support, as well as have a report come back to council regarding your funding request today. Is there any further discussion? Not? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That's carried. Bill, Clayton, Tim, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you all.
I've seen you for a while, Dave.
Yeah. I drive by there though.
Since you got out of Wheelands.
I forgot to introduce you to my brother-in-law who came all the way from Winnipeg to visit us for a bit. And so So I just came here as an observer.
And you dragged him here.
Yes. I wanted to see how well I'm doing.
Thanks so much for the work you do.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Will we get a report from him later?
We can move in our agendas then. Item F, County Council and Committee updates. And we'll start at Division 1. Councilor Lauren Handi. Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On March the 5th, I attended the Health Professional Recruitment and Retention Committee meeting in Picture Butte. And it sounds like that there will be a new doctor coming in place, but may be delayed until about October. It is fairly lengthy process for him or her to go through to actually become a practitioner in the province. So currently, the other doctor has not signed a contract, and it's kind of up in the air whether or not she will. So I can't answer any more than that, but looking forward to the new doctor getting into place as soon as possible. On the 6th, I attended the FCSS meeting, and 7th was, of course, County Council, and attended the RMA Spring Convention, and the Green Acres Finance meeting on the way home from RMA in the car. That was the first. And it worked quite well. And on the 27th was the Green Acres Board meeting. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. Go ahead, Plus.
Just a question for Lauren on the doctors, but the one doctor has his own building and everything like that, and that one isn't retired yet, but that one's going to retire shortly. So have you, is he like working on helping along, trying to get a position there?
So currently, he is, like you said, he is planning on retiring. He has his practice and his building for sale. I don't know whether he's been successful in retraining or recruiting anyone to take over that business. The other one will be working out of the Miami Lodge, where the other doctor is operating out of now. So I can't really say. I think that he would really like to make a deal so that he could, have the doctor practice out of there as well. But I don't know where that's at.
Anything else from Lauren? If not, Division 2 for myself. March 1st, Mayors and Reeves. March 5th, meeting with Finance Minister Horner and MLA Neudorf. Just a big thank you to Minister Neudorf for facilitating that meeting and giving Cole and I, a brief window there with Minister Horner and himself. It was great to have a conversation about what we can do in the region here and some of the great opportunity we have. So just big thank you to them for that. March 7th, Lethbridge County Council meeting. 18th, 20th, RMA Spring Convention. 21st, attended the Southern Alberta Economic Summit. Thank you to Southgrow, Peter, Kim, the whole team at Southgrow, and everyone that presented there. That was a great day. It was a stormy day, so maybe it wasn't as well attended as could have been, but it's still a great day, and it was great to have that opportunity. March 21st, safety audit interview. Thank you, Candace, for that. And March 21st, Chinook Arch Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. And that was it for me. Division 3, Councilor Mark Sayers. Mark.
Thank you, Reeve Campbell. Provincial Town Hall on drought phone interview or call. There's another one this afternoon at 3 o'clock I'll be taking part in. The 7th was County Council. RMA Spring Convention was the 18th to 20th. Was unable to attend any courses. They were overbooked, so that was good. There was one, Arnold Dirksen brought forward a guest speaker to speak to us around the climate change and peace. She's a professor from England, so that was interesting to listen to and attend. 21st was the South Grow Economic Summit. As Tori said, it was a great event, a lot of good breakout sessions and a lot of good information. 22nd, met with Candace for a safety audit interview. On the 27th, we had an emergency advisory committee meeting. And on the 28th, had a phone call with the water commissioner, as a member of the water commission, to meet with the auditor with the questions that he had.
Thank you, Mark. Division 4, Deputy Reeve John Curvis. John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Other than my weekly meetings with the Community Futures Director, I was able to have had a meeting with the Community Futures Regional Director, and just outlining some of the responsibilities and direction that Community Futures is going to be heading in the next year. March 17th to 20th, attended the RMA Spring Convention, and always enjoy that, and connecting with councillors and discussing some of the challenges that are around the province and some of the solutions to challenges, I think, is an important thing for us to do, because the challenges are the same, but the solutions sometimes are not, excuse me, may not be readily evident to us, but somebody else has a solution. And March 14th, attended a water co-op liaison committee, and I'd like to express my appreciation for the water co-ops in attending that. It was a very good meeting, and it is, I think that's important for the collaboration and the ongoing success of the community, to make sure that we're having those liaison meetings and discussions to make sure that as we're moving along, it's for the best interest of everybody. And on March 27th, had an emergency advisory committee, and that would be it.
Thank you, John. Division 5, Councillor Eric Van Essen. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. March 6th, Butte Chamber of Commerce, 7th, County Council, and the 27th, Emergency Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Eric. Division 6, Councillor Klaus Vanderveen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So March 6th, we had a water emergency call, and that was with the Minister of Agriculture and plus the Minister of Environment, and there was, I don't know how many people were on the call, but we got notified if you wanted to participate on the call, so that's why I was on there, and they basically wanted some feedback on what the situation with the drought, and some pointers and ideas of what we all thought would be appropriate action to take. And then Lethbridge County Council meeting and RMA Spring Convention.
Thank you, Klaus. Division 7, Councillor Morris Teamster.
I went to the RMA Spring Convention.
Thank you, Morris. Thank you, Council. Anything further on our update? Go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you. Just at lunchtime, a gentleman who was sitting on our table at the education session was from the MD of Greenview, and they recently took over a hamlet in Greenview, and he said he had a very interesting discussion about the costs of doing such, and it is just enormous, because their infrastructure was so aged and in poor shape. He said the cost is just right through the roof.
Mm.
So it's interesting to hear his perspective of it.
Thank you, Lauren. Anything else? If not, we can then move to, we have one piece of correspondence today. G1 MP Thomas Community Builders Award. So before you have a letter. I believe received multiple copies through different addressees. This is from our MP, Rachel Thomas. Dear Reeve Campbell, I'm once again calling for nominations for my Community Builders Awards and giving you a role as Reeve of Lethbridge County. I'm writing to ask if you might be willing to help spread the word and or nominate someone you know. Residents of Lethbridge constituency are invited to nominate anyone who goes above and beyond to make positive differences in our community. In the past, this has included retirees, veterans, farmers, foster parents, educators, artists, athletes, social workers, coaches, entrepreneurs, emergency responders, student volunteers, and many others who go the extra mile to invest in the lives of others and make our community great. The award will be presented in 4 categories: youth leader, adult leader, not-for-profit leader, and business leader. Recipients of the 2024 Community Builders Awards will be chosen by. If your life has been positively impacted by the investment of someone in your community, please nominate them today. Rachel Thomas's office did reach out, like I say, on several occasions to make sure we publicize this, get that out there, as her constituency does align with Lethbridge County, so it is a natural fit. So if anyone out there does know someone that fits the bill, please do consider nominating them. And it does coincide with, I believe this week is Volunteer Week, so just a nice fit there, and let's support the people in our communities. The deadline to submit is Friday, May 17th. And with that, I believe that brings us to the end of our public meeting. Is there anything further? If not, I would entertain motion to enter a closed session for our CAO report. Morris? Morris moved to enter a closed session. We have one item, CAO report, Beck, FOIP sections 16, 17, 23, and 24. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. I'm going to take a 5. And we'll come back and just start with number 10 something.
Yeah, we're good. I don't have
Opposed? It's carried.
You're undecided.
Good thing it doesn't have to be unanimous. I didn't react fast enough. I'm not like Mark.
We're good? Okay, that brings us to the end of our meeting today. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, council, staff, and for those joining us virtually today. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Morris moved to adjourn at 11:03 a.m. this morning. Thank you very much, everyone.